Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're so glad to be having a conversation with Meg Honan today, MS, PT, and CPE. Welcome, Meg.
I'm really glad to be here. As you said, my name is Meg Honan, and currently working as a consultant and at the UCSF Ergonomics Laboratory. And I'm just happy to talk to you all. So let's go.
Awesome. Well, we have some questions for you today. First of all, I'd love to have you tell me, what is an ergonomist? Can you share a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I became an ergonomist 20 plus years ago, and nobody knew what it was, back then. So an ergonomist is a person who works with people and organizations and the areas that we work in, just to make sure that it's best suited for the people who need to do the work. So making sure that the human or the person is sort of the center of the work, who can make it most kind of productive and fulfilling and all of that.
Awesome. Sounds like a pretty worthwhile endeavor.
Absolutely.
For someone who's just getting into your field, are there any misconceptions about your job and what you do?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is that people really don't know what it is. So you hear about human factors and ergonomics, and though we might know all those words individually, we don't see how they work in a group. So human factors is just people. What does it take for people to be able to do something and do something well? And ergonomics, oftentimes people think you're just helping people sitting at their computer workstation to be set up more efficiently or with less pain. But human factors ergonomics is really a lot more about a bigger systems approach. And systems just means all the different people that you work with in order to get this done at an industry or anywhere that you're working, so that people can really be at their best at work. And I think sometimes people think of the word as a little bit too small in scope. So.
Yeah, I know. I personally also used to think ergonomics meant, oh, right, my computer station, my feet, my eyes, the levels that everything's set up correctly, to find out, oh, it also involves cognitive ergonomics, how you look at a screen, physical, how factories are set up. It's a much broader profession than I had realized previously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Can you speak a little to your background? How did you get into ergonomics?
I started off as a physical therapist and really enjoyed that career and got a chance to work in many different areas of physical therapy. And over the years of working with people, I had to decide, did I want to teach? Did I want to own a clinic? What did I want to do? And neither had a big interest to me. But during the 80s, I worked with a lot of people who had back injuries and all kinds of work-related injuries. But all of a sudden, all these people showed up that had injuries to their neck and their arms and their hands. And the only thing they had in common is that they worked in front of a computer. So something about all of that put together and treating people and sending them back to the same situation that they came from really made me want to move upstream and say, what could you do to prevent these problems? What could you do so that people can be in a better position and work better?
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I think it sounds like I feel like I know a lot of people who've kind of started in the PT world and had a similar revelation to you of saying, actually, I want to go a little further upstream in the prevention of the injuries out the gate rather than the treatment of afterwards.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, what do you enjoy most about what you do?
I worked at Genentech and I ran the ergonomics program for many years. And I used to always say to people, I have the best job at Genentech. And I was very serious about it. So what I love about ergonomics is that you didn't create the situation that you're going in to help. You didn't make the factory set up poorly. You didn't make the problem happen, but you were almost always part of the solution, part of what helped to make whatever the issue was better or go away. So it's a very happy job in that way. You're kind of part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. So, I like that you work with such a broad range of people, and you'll hear words like a systems approach. And what that really means is that in order to make work happen, there are so many people that are involved in that kind of process. So you work with individuals who do the jobs, you work with their managers, you work with people that design the plant, you work with people that do maintenance, you work with every level of the organization. So you get to know a lot of other people and you understand what their contribution is to good work as well. So I like the camaraderie. I like the fact that we worked as a team, and I do like helping people. So I would never roll that out.
I appreciate you bringing that up as an example too. It makes me think of, in workplace health and safety, how important it is to get feedback from everyone, not just the managerial level, not just the leadership level, but really talking with the workers. What does your day look like? What are you doing on the day-to-day? And the information you can gather from the people doing the job when it comes to health and safety is super important. That's awesome.
Yeah, the difference between being a brand new ergonomist and being somebody who's had a lot of experience, who's maybe more of an expert ergonomist, is not that you're that much smarter. It's just that you've learned the secret skill, which is to talk to people, find out their perception of what's going on, find out their perception of what might improve it or what the biggest issues are, and then make that connection between who can fix the problem, who can make things better, and the people who do the job. So it's really, a lot of it has to do with, if you don't just learn to sit back and listen, it's hard to become a great anything, but a great ergonomist in this case. So that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, and knowing what you know now, what advice would you have given yourself when you were just starting out in ergonomics?
I got some great advice. The first thing I did as a physical therapist, so I went to a weekend course, and it was one of the courses that UC put on, actually, that COEH put on. And I really got to learn early on that ergonomics is a very big field. And if you want to do a thing, you really have to understand the broader focus of what ergonomics is and kind of how you work, within the system. So I think anyone that's thinking about this career, you'd mentioned physical therapists, a lot of people, or athletic trainers, or a lot of people kind of come in to ergonomics through one very narrow door. So they can really only see it from this one perspective. And so I spend a lot of time talking, because I'm an ergonomist, I spend a lot of time talking to those people about, hey, it's not just you sitting at the table, but it's a circular table where there's a lot of players and a lot of participants. And so just understand from the get-go that ergonomics is more than just looking at computer workstations or looking at a particular thing. It's more than getting people to sit up straight. It's more than improving posture. You need to look at ergonomics in its kind of full scale, which is fun, not ultimately complex or anything, but you need to just look at the bigger picture from the get-go. So
thank you.
That's my advice.
Much. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share for our listeners today?
I think thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. I don't think very many people know about this field, and it's a great field. It's a great job. You have a lot of independence. You have a lot of decision making. You are able to work with people and talk to people. You have a lot of strategic partners, and that's just really it's an important word, but it's a fancy way of saying other people that you have high regard for that all come together to try to make the work situation work. You need to understand what the business needs. You need to understand what the people need. You need to understand a lot more than just what narrow view you come from, whether that be, I'm just a physical therapist, I'm just an engineer, I'm just a this. Again, it's a great field. Look at the bigger picture and become an ergonomist. It's a great idea.